Is it a truce at last? That's the biggest question in Kenyans' minds tonight, owing to the events that have happened in the last 3 or 4 hours. We have the details lined up for you tonight.
Well, that means that the anti-government protests that would have taken place on Monday and Thursday have been called off, at least for a week.
The truce lasts for a week. Well, if the president responds to some of the demands made by Azimio today, which includes the formation of that bipartisan committee, then there will be no more demonstrations. Those details are up in this bulletin. Let's have a look at the highlights tonight.
We acknowledge Mr. Ruto's olive branch for a dialogue on key issues raised by Azimio La Umoja. To us, this is a positive development.
We are ready for dialogue. Opposition leader Raila Odinga calls off demonstrations as President William Ruto calls for a bipartisan approach to resolve the political impasse.
We are great believers in free media, and any engagement that puts the media in danger is not acceptable.
Media speaks out as President allays fears of government infringement on press freedom. And Palm Sunday, Christians mark beginning of Holy Week with calls for political tolerance. Our sign language interpreter this night is Byron Abuli. Welcome to Sunday Express. My name is John Jacob Kioria.
And I am Regina Manyara.
Let's begin with our top story tonight. The Raila Odinga-led opposition has called off the countrywide anti-government mass demonstrations for a week.
In a response to an appeal by President William Ruto, the opposition says the temporary ceasefire is to allow the president to form a bipartisan committee that will address the issues raised, including the reconstitution of the IEBC.
And we shall be having a look at that story once it is ready in a few minutes. Let's go back to another story where earlier Sunday evening, President William Ruto said the mass demonstrations that started 2 weeks ago have disrupted the country's economy, apart from tarnishing Kenya's international image.
The president proposed a bipartisan approach to one of Azimio's key demands of inclusion in the reconstitution of the IEBC.
President William Ruto appeared to take a conciliatory tone and extended an olive branch to the opposition on Sunday. The president wants the opposition to call off demonstrations, which he deemed as disrupting his economic recovery plans.
And in view of the recent events that led to loss of life and destruction of property in the demonstrations that have occasioned in our country for the last 2 weeks, I urge my brother Raila Odinga and the opposition to call off the demonstrations and to give this bipartisan approach a chance for us to take the country forward. Meanwhile, I call on all Kenyans to remain peaceful and law-abiding, and I assure them that the government of Kenya will continue with its sacred duty of protecting their lives and their property.
The president says he's open to talks with leaders on issues affecting Kenyans and has no problem engaging the opposition.
I have always been ready to engage Kenyans of all walks of life, including elected and appointed leaders from across the political divide and the religious fraternity, on how to make our country better and prosperous. And in the last 6 months, I have talked to many religious leaders. I have talked to many elected leaders from across the political divide. My door still remains open for honest, objective, and sincere deliberations based on the rule of law and the Constitution.
President Ruto wants Azimio to ride on the memo he already sent to Parliament to propose changes that can aid the growth of the economy. The head of state, while dismissing the possibility of the return of the handshake, appeared to climb down from hard stances taken by leaders allied to him by proposing a bipartisan solution to Azimio la Umoja's One Kenya's demand for inclusion in the reconstitution of the electoral body IEBC.
The IEBC selection panel and the future process of recruitment of its commissioners could as well be part of a conversation leading to constitutionally and legally binding proposals through a bipartisan parliamentary process. In other words, I am suggesting that the issues that have been raised by our friends on the matter of IEBC, my suggestion is that this matter can be handled in Parliament by a bipartisan parliamentary process so that we can agree on what it is they have an issue with, and we can adjust as is agreed and as necessary.
As such, Raila Odinga, that is Raila-led opposition, has called off the countrywide anti-government mass demonstrations for a week.
In response to an appeal by the President, William Ruto, the opposition says the temporary ceasefire is to allow the President to form a bipartisan committee that will address the issues raised, including the reconstitution of the IEBC.
In view of the foregoing, we stand down our demonstrations for Monday, that is tomorrow, April 3rd, 2023.
The Azimio leader Raila Odinga, by acknowledging the olive branch extended to him by President William Ruto, has called off the demonstration that were to enter the fourth round tomorrow. Raila says the coalition has called off the street protest for a week to allow President William Ruto time to constitute a bipartisan committee that will address issues raised by the opposition.
Today, Honorable William Samoei Ruto, who was my opponent in the last year's elections, has issued what I regard as an important statement since the election. We acknowledge Mr. Ruto's olive branch for a dialogue on key issues raised by Azimio la Umoja. To us, this is a positive development.
The parliamentary committee, Odinga says, should be co-chaired by both sides and backed by international experts.
We agree that a balanced parliamentary process, co-chaired by both sides and backed by experts from outside, should proceed. In our view, this committee must be composed with immediate effect, with strict deadlines for resolving the crisis facing the country.
In the spirit of dialogue, the opposition is demanding the release of all its supporters arrested during the demos.
In accepting the call for the dialogue, we ask that all arrests and prosecutions related to our demonstrations be stopped with immediate effect.
And that news will be very good news to the ears of Catholic bishops who had earlier called on the opposition leader Raila Odinga to suspend the demonstrations that were planned for Monday.
The Kenya Conference of Catholic Churches Chairman Archbishop Martin Kivuva at the same time called for a truce between President William Ruto and the opposition, noting that the demonstrations are only causing more harm than good.
Yes, came before the two leaders issued separate statements, with Azimio leader calling off the Monday demos.
Slowly in their numbers, the Catholic faithful in Mombasa marked the Palm Sunday with a procession from Makupa roundabout to St. Joseph Catholic Church in Chuda. Speaking outside the church before the service, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Churches Chairman Archbishop Martin Kivuva called on President William Ruto and the opposition leader Raila Odinga to give dialogue a chance.
Let us pray for our leaders in the nation, both opposition and government, to speedily embark on constructive, inclusive dialogue to address the challenges facing our nation. The Azimio leadership to consider cancelling their demonstrations during this Holy Week and all the time so that we can embrace dialogue.
We also ask for the suspension of celebrative gatherings and prayer meetings organized by government and political leaders, with the political nuances witnessed in such gatherings and prayer meetings.
Archbishop Kivuva also sent a sound warning to both the demonstrators and security authorities to refrain from violence and use of excessive force.
We appeal to the security operatives, the police and others, to avoid excessive use of force during peaceful demonstration, if any. And demonstrators, on their part, to exercise the right without provoking the police.
Sentiments echoed by Anglican Church of Kenya Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit during the Palm Sunday at the All Saints Cathedral, Nairobi. Sapit calling on the two sides to tone down ahead of Easter.
I'm calling upon the organizers of demonstration in this country to call it off, as at least for this week, the Holy Week, for us to have a break. But even for posterity, let us learn how to solve our issues, not in demonstration and not in use of excessive force.
Speaking separately during a church service at House of Grace in Nairobi West, the spouse of the Deputy President, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, termed the opposition demonstrations as destructive and unhealthy for the country.
I come here to speak for those boys who are out there, the ones who are being abused and those ones who are taking that tear gas, the ones who are killed. Those are my boy children. I've been wanting to turn around, to rehabilitate and cause and to validate their dreams. You and I must validate the dreams of those children.
For Sunday Express, I am Ann Mburu.
All right.
Would say it's a case of answered prayers, especially during the Holy Week.
All right. The Kenya Media Sector Working Group claims there is a scheme to shut down the broadcast media and internet services during Azimio anti-government protests, of course, that has been overtaken by events.
Now, then, the media stakeholders was, however, trying to bar saying that to bar the media would be a breach in the law.
Journalists covering Azimio's anti-government protests have been on the receiving end from both the police and protesters as they clashed. In the wake of this, media stakeholders have met to discuss strategies to protect journalists. The Kenya Media Sector Working Group now claims that there are plans to shut down broadcast media and the internet.
The government should not do anything that denies the free flow of information to the public. We say this because we have received reports of plans to shut down the broadcast media and to shut down the internet and throw the country into information darkness ahead of tomorrow's demonstrations.
Kenya Editors Guild President Chachilo Otieno claims the move will plunge the nation into murky waters.
This would be most ill-advised and a grievous assault on Kenya's democracy because it denies the Kenyan citizens and the Kenyan public their rights to information. From the media perspective, taking this route will sink us all as a country.
We stand for an open, free and democratic society. A society where all can freely exercise the right to freedom of opinion and expression, including seeking, receiving and imparting information and ideas. This is fundamental for democracy and liberty.
He condemned the attacks on journalists, calling on investigative bodies to launch a probe into the matter and apprehend the offenders. In a quick rejoinder during his address to the nation on Sunday, President William Ruto distanced his administration from allegations of planning to shut down the media.
We believe that the media should be left to carry out its duties, its broadcasts, irrespective of how unfair they may be. Just for the record, because I have seen some other people say, oh, maybe the media will be, I don't know what will be switched off. Take it from me. Kenya has come a long way the era of switching off, I don't know, this or that's way behind us.
Separately, videographers of Kenya under the Kenya Television Lens Association, drawn from different media houses, have expressed concern of the safety of journalists during Monday and Thursday demonstrations. In a joint statement, the journalists are calling upon the government of Kenya and protesters to respect the members of the Fourth Estate, saying their lenses serve the public interest.
Kenyan media and their journalists have now come under new and growing attack. The situation is worsening in what appears as a campaign to cripple independent media and individual journalists through a combination of commercial, verbal, and physical attacks. We call upon the government, the police, IG, IPOA, Media Complaints Commission, and the Ministry of ICT and Digital Economy to take action before the situation deteriorates.
Kutokea wiki iliyopita. Kwa hivyo tunaomba serikali tafadhali ingilieni, waandishi wa habari wana uhuru katika ile kipengele ya 34 ya kufanya kazi yao bila uoga yote, bila kuingiliwa.
Trevor Ngendo for Sunday Express.
You remember today was Palm Sunday. It's a very important day in the Christian calendar, and thousands of Christians across the country gathered in churches to mark Palm Sunday ahead of Easter celebrations, with the clergy calling for peace and reconciliation amid the anti-government protests that had been planned by Azimio.
Let's have a listen in.
Christian faithful across the country join the world in marking Palm Sunday, a day that commemorates Christ's triumphal entry into Jerusalem. Catholic faithful in the country began the day with a procession, carrying palms before embarking on the order of the service.
Yale matukio yote ambayo yatatukia katika juma hili yawe ni ya kutusaidia sisi wenyewe tukabadilishwa tukawa viumbe vipya.
But do faithful understand the true meaning of the day?
It shows that he's humble, you know. He's just humble, and yes, that's why he's called the Messiah.
Sherehe kubwa ya Kristo kuwa akiingia kule Yerusalemu, ambayo inatuanzisha wiki takatifu.
Akaosha miguu na akapea habari eti waende wakahubiri habari njema katika dunia yote.
In his message to the congregants, Archbishop Philip Anyolo of the Archdiocese of Nairobi called for the suspension of the ongoing anti-government demonstrations and the government meetings frequently held by the government and the political leaders. Anyolo saying these gatherings, if unchecked, are a recipe for chaos.
Instead of seeking solutions, our political leaders have chosen to escalate hate, revenge, anarchy without care for our country. It is a wrong direction we are going, and God forbid.
At the All Saints Cathedral, Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit urged the faithful to remember God's love for humanity and be their brother's keeper.
We are calling upon each one of us today to observe this Holy Week as a week that God is the one to suffer for us and his people, as we remember Christ suffering with his people.
A message that was echoed at St. Anne Mudhure in Kabete as Christians mark Palm Sunday.
Hakuhesabu kuwa mwana wa Mungu. Alijihesabu kama sisi, akajinyenyekeza.
In Narok County, Narok Town APC church leader Benjamin Napasho called for peace, calling on Kenyans to pray for the country.
Sehemu zote za nchi yetu kuwe na amani, kuwe na uamani katika viongozi na hata katika familia zetu. Tumechoka kuona watu wakiuana.
Ruth Wamboi for Sunday Express.
The Palm Sunday is celebrated by faithfuls across the world, and indeed you've seen what has dominated calls the entire day today is for the two leaders, that is President William Ruto and the Azimio leader Raila Odinga, to have a sit down and probably ease down the tensions that are building in the country. And well, they have acceded to that request. Looks like there's some ceasefire of some sort.
Indeed, and quite a good timing, because this is a culmination of Lent, the Holy Week.
Oh yeah. Yes. It's that too. It's time for us to take a breather on Sunday Express, and you come back with more news lined up for you, including sports with Karen Kibet.
Nafasi yako ya kuwa mdosi wako. Jiunge na washindi, tufanye biashara. Kuwa mshindi. Mozartbet.
Take on Tech, a weekly program that brings you technological debates and concepts. Let us assume we have a young innovator who has come up with an app.
Financial technology and financial services is a very complex game.
Keeping you up to date with the latest tech news, both locally and internationally. Apple has lost its position as the most valuable firm amid tech sellers. We also explore different innovations by our very own young innovators. Make sure you don't miss. Tune in every Monday at 10:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
You've seen your potential. Unafanya kazi nzuri sana.
Na tukilinganisha na zile recommendations ambazo tulipewa na Inspector Torome, we believe this is the right pitch for you.
Hey! Unataka nini wewe? Unaniumiza. Unataka nini? Unaniumiza. Unataka nini kama utaki?
There are rumors that you have another family.
Rumors that I have another family. Well, this is my family, and I think it's one.
What do you think?
Welcome back. You're watching the Sunday Express. The government has put on notice private recruitment agencies which violate the recruitment procedures of domestic workers.
Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Florence Bore says already 26 private recruitment agencies have been deregistered for going against the set regulations.
She was speaking during a tour of the Kenya School of Government to assess the state of preparedness to host the 3 days Kenya Social Protection Conference 2023, which will kick off on Monday.
Speaking during a tour of the Kenya School of Government, which will host the 3 days Kenya Social Protection Conference 2023, which kicks off Monday, Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Florence Bore warned that the law will catch up with unscrupulous agencies that are flouting the laid-down procedures by the state.
We are in progress also with Australia and UK, so that those challenges that were there will be reduced, because now we are doing and reviewing new agreements so that our people are able to work within the timelines, they're able to be paid better salaries and be treated well.
Bore says already 26 private recruitment agencies have been registered for going against the set regulation by the state.
And as a ministry, currently we have deregistered about 26 of them. The directors didn't turn up. There were no premises to show. So some of those agencies are just there by name to say we are going to continue with that process. And these recruitment agencies should do the right thing.
The CS further says the Social Protection Conference is going to provide an opportunity to take stock and identify gaps in the sector.
The 2023 Social Protection Conference will provide us with a way forward towards inclusion and expansion of social protection interventions to all deserving Kenyans.
The CS says the state will redouble its efforts in the Inua Jamii cash transfer program to increase its coverage. She says this was in line with the Kenya Kwanza manifesto that seeks to improve the lives of the vulnerable.
Currently, the State Department of Social Protection spends about 26 billion in the Inua cash transfer program under the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection. Going forward, and based on the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, we are seeking to even do better in expanding the social protection programs with the support of our development partners.
President William Ruto will officially open the conference with more than 500 local international delegates expected to attend.
Correctional Services Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni has called on the judiciary to fast-track criminal cases pending in court as a way of easing pressure on prison facilities which are already congested.
The PS decried the amount of resources government is spending on inmates, with nearly half of them being remandees whose cases are yet to be determined.
PS Muthoni spoke during a Sunday service at the Committee Maximum Prison.
Being a Palm Sunday, the Principal Secretary Correctional Services Mary Muthoni joined Catholic faithful in committee to mark the important day in the Christian calendar. The PS, senior officials in the prison services and the inmates participating in a colourful procession inside the confinement facility. The presiding minister, Father Peter Kimani, who serves as a chaplain of Catholic faithfuls within the Committee Maximum Prison.
Even when we are wrongly accused, even when we are serving sentences here in prison, even when we are suffering out there, but God sees everything, the truthful person.
Owing to congestion in most of Kenya's penal institutions, the Principal Secretary has called on the judiciary to fast-track cases pending in court to determine the fate of remandees.
You realize how almost half of the inmates or the people that we are holding in our prisons today are in remand. And this is totally a very high number. That means this person wakes up, dresses up, and maybe cleans up with water that is paid by the government, eats in the facility, will sleep on the same beds that we are talking about.
The PS called for the need to embrace alternative dispute resolution mechanisms that would keep petty offenders from the formal court process.
If we were using alternative dispute resolutions properly at the village level, at the lowest level of the society, we could not be using this, we could not be seeing this influx of the remandees in our stations.
To give dignity to the inmates, PS Muthoni says the ministry seeks to procure 20,000 triple-decker beds to ensure each has a bed to themselves.
We want to handle our inmates in the best of the dignity, and that is why we are talking about having one prisoner, one bed, one mattress. It is part of our rehabilitative program.
There's something also very interesting happening this week. The Connected Kenya Summit is expected to draw a plan on how the national and county governments can work together to enhance service delivery through ICT, as it were.
Now, acting that is information Secretary, pardon for that, Information and Technology Chief Executive Stanley says county governments are critical in driving the national ICT agenda and implementing the 10-year digital master plan.
Speaking ahead of the Connected Kenya Summit 2023, ICT Authority CEO Stanley Kamanguya emphasized government's commitment to the digital transformation plan to boost the country's economic growth and enhance the quality of public service.
We have
very, very important discussions around how we can connect with our partners in the regions and the other countries. So we're expecting over 1,000 delegates to assemble tomorrow, and we really look forward to the discussions and the other activities that are lined up.
He said collaboration with private sector and county governments will help shape the digital economy, enhance broadband connectivity, and create online jobs for the youth. The National Assembly ICT Committee, led by its chair, Dagoretti South MP John Kioria, is expected to engage the governors through the council's chair, Anne Waiguru, on embracing emerging technology trends.
I believe these institutions of government are very critical in shaping our digital economy, but specifically also later on, we do have a county forum where we're going to be discussing how the county government is going to work together with the national government to be able to achieve the outlined activities and projects that are aligned to our theme of the digital economy, endless opportunities for our future.
Discussions around the digitization for government services will kick off on Tuesday with the goal of digitizing 5,000 government services in the next 5 years.
So going to have a launch on some of the things that we have been working on at the ICT Authority, and most importantly, we are going to have a very important section for women in technology, where we're going to engage and hear the experiences of the women who are leading in this sector.
The pre-summit training, which concluded today, touched on data privacy, data analytics, project management methodologies, and emerging technologies of machine learning. Earlier on, Information and Communication and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo led delegates in the CS Golf Tournament, which teed off Sunday at Diamond Leisure Lodge in Diani, Kwale County.
Now, before we take you down to Diani, Kwale, just a quick clarification that was the Information, Communication and Technology Authority Chief Executive Stanley Kamangoya there, and not acting. He indeed is the CEO.
All right, time for us now to head over to Diani. Like you alluded, with John O'Brien Kimani, he will have a sit down with the ICT Principal Secretary John Tanui. O'Brien, good evening. How is Diani? And of course, bring us up to date on the preparations of the Connected Kenya Summit, O'Brien.
Well, many thanks, John Jacob Kioria and Regina Manyara back there in Broadcasting House. It's true, we are here in Diani, Kwale County for the annual Connected Kenya Summit. This is the 12th edition, and of course the theme for this year is digital economy, endless opportunities, shaping the future. That is the theme for this year, and of course joining me on the set is the Principal Secretary in the State Department for ICT and the Digital Economy. This is Engineer John Tanui. He's going to explain to us what to expect and how the plans are coming along. Thank you very much, PS, for joining us and of course getting off your busy schedule to be with us here this evening. Are we ready for the Connected Kenya Summit?
Thank you, O'Brien. We are fully set for the Connected Summit 2023 here at Diani. We as the ICT sector community are all here today and will be here until this week on Wednesday, and we will be discussing about digital economy, endless opportunities and shaping the future. This is quite an important session for the sector and for us in the government to share what's the plan we have for the ICT sector, and also to hear what the rest of the industry are saying and to see how we can work together as an entity. Tomorrow we are going to have the official opening of the Connected Summit 2023. We have our chief guest, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary. We have our CS Owalo, the CS of Information, Communication and Digital Economy. We have several PSS who are joining us from various state departments. We have several CEOs from both public and private sector. We have technology partners, some of the tech companies, their CEOs, technical staff, professionals are all here. We also have people from our neighboring countries in the region. So this is quite an exciting moment for us to meet and have this conversation about digital economy, endless opportunities, and also shaping the future.
Thank you very much for, of course, enumerating to us who is here, and it's proper to say that we are in good and great company. What should we expect from this company?
What we expect from these conversations is inside information about what's going on in the sector, what has transferred in the last 12 years, and also looking at how we can shape together the future. We have so many changes that are happening in the sector, new technologies that have come into place. We have things that like artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles. We have things like drones and many new technologies that are coming. So we want to discuss as a sector, how do we utilize these technologies? What's our position as a country? What's our position as a region? We have the agendas that we have set by our government, like connectivity, digitalization, optimizing opportunities in e-commerce and the digital economy. What do we do as a sector? What do we do as a country? How do we work with our partner technology companies and also other nations and countries who are leading in the digital space?
And how is this meeting going to shape the future of ICT in this country? And the digital economy?
This summit, just like the other 12 summits, have been so instrumental in charting the future of our country. We've made great strides as a country. We saw the first submarine cable landing here in Mombasa, and we've seen also the laying of fiber optic across our country, the coming of 4G technologies to our country, the fiber connectivity which is across our country. These are outputs of such conversations that take place. I'm very excited that this conversation is happening at the moment that now we are prioritizing ICT as an enabler and a driver that will have not only impact on the digital and the creative sector, but also going to impact even the priority sectors and all the other sectors, be it agriculture, health sector, revenue sector, and SMEs. So we are going to have this conversation with all the players to see how do we utilize technology, how do we utilize ICT, how do we utilize the new technologies to speed and fast-track our progress as a country.
No, President Dr. William Ruto has pronounced himself on the issues around digitization and digitalization of government services. What input do you expect from this conference that will help towards ensuring that the digitalization and digitalization of government services is achieved?
This agenda, we have a document called the Digital Master Plan that we developed as a sector, and is going to chart our journey for the next 10 years. One of the things coming out of this plan and what the government has put forward is that it's a very ambitious plan requiring huge resources. This forum is supposed to help us in having discussions. One of the things is how do we have creative and innovative ways of funding this agenda? How do we bring private sector? How do we bring in the current players, our mobile network operators, to take lead in some aspects of these programs, be it connectivity, digitalization? So those are the conversations we want to have. We will also have specific conversations on key areas like data privacy, issues like data protection. These are very important issues for our country as we head towards digitalizing and having a paperless government. There are emerging issues like issues of cybersecurity. This is a forum that will bring all those aspects of cybersecurity to light in terms of discussing and bringing the various stakeholders, even the academia, to reason together and see how do we position ourselves as a country so that as we digitalize, we ensure we are securing our country and not facing the risk that comes with such programs. We're also looking at discussing specific issues like how do we create content with the growth of the infrastructure, with huge connectivity. We find that most of the contents we consume are from abroad. How do we create more contents as a country to see that we can grow local content. So we're looking at how to grow our creative sector, how to enhance the matching of the ICT and the creative sector, to see that we develop now digital products, new digital products, and we've done things like animations, games, what our children can enjoy. How do we incorporate these technologies to our educational system? How do we institutionalize coding as a program in our educational system? How do we prepare our young people to the new work environment? Because we are talking about the future, shaping the future. The future of work is changing, the required skills is also changing, and the kind of jobs that will be available in the future might not be available now, and the skills required might also be different. So those are the conversations we want to have and ensure that the various sectors can benefit from this conversation.
Very well. You go on PS. What is your message to the people who are watching this program at home, abroad, or wherever they are?
I would encourage them to follow us in this conversation from wherever you are. We will be available on social media. ICT Authority social handles will be able to provide detailed information. We are also encouraging those who are able to visit and join us here at Diani. We are here from 2nd to 5th. So we invite them to join us here and engage us in this conversation. Also give us feedback. We know many Kenyans are very interested to see how ICT can really help our country. It will bring transparency, it will bring efficiency, it will lower cost of operation and engaging government. So we encourage to get feedback on how we can move with speed so that the benefits that the citizens want to see can be realized in a shorter time than others.
Yes, and of course it is also to put this into perspective that the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation is the official media partner for this event. And when you see us here, you know for sure that we mean business. When we do it so well. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your stay here. And of course, we are looking forward for rich conversations on ICT and the digital economy.
Thank you, Brian. And we also appreciate KBC as our partner.
Well, John Jacob Kioria and Regina Manyara, well, I don't envy you back there in Nairobi, because if you're not in Diani, man, oh man, you don't know what you're missing. This is where we say the dead should come back to life. We are here following the conversations on ICT as well as the digital economy. We are live from Diani from now going forward, just to keep the nation well fed on information that will be coming out of here. O'Brien Kimani is my name, live from Diani. Welcome to Connected Kenya 2023. Back to you in Broadcasting House.
Thank you very much, O'Brien Kimani, back in Diani. And I don't know whether the T-shirt and the microphone was supposed to confirm that indeed you're in Diani. But okay.
Should I say drops mic?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, that mic is big.
The people's mic.
It's time for us to take a breather on Sunday Express when we come back. Everyone is for you.
Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
Kupata kumpenda mtu kama sikiza tune kwenye simu yako, bonyeza star 812 star 501 hash.
Mapenzi si kumpenda mtu kwa kuwa amekamilika, kwani nawe pia una mapungufu yako. Kwa hivyo mapenzi ni kumpenda mtu na mapungufu yake.
Kupata kumpenda mtu, bonyeza star 812 star 501 hash. Star 812 star 501 hash.
Welcome back. You're watching the Sunday Express. Now, did you know that you are or can become the type of company you keep?
We bring you the story of 45-year-old James Kibe from Kembereki village in Nyandarua County, a recovered alcoholic and drug addict whose company and acquired habits almost cost him his teaching profession and his life.
Our reporter Ruth Wamboi has that story.
With girls and women at the center stage globally, are boys and men under siege? A 130 kilometers from Kenya's capital, Nairobi, lies Ndonyonjero in Nyandarua County. We arrive at Kembereki village in North Kinangop where he resides. Our quest is to meet 45-year-old James Kibe. Kibe, a reformed alcohol and drug addict. Kibe narrates how the once church boy lost track in 2010 and started heading a very dangerous path.
The school that I was posted, I found people there were very much happy about taking alcohol, but they could tell me that I am supposed to take anything that has been created by God. With that chupa of the pombe, there are those drawings of Barry. So people could ask me, how can God create this Barry? And then you refuse to eat. So it started like mchezo. So I found myself in it.
His love for alcohol and drugs affected his work tremendously.
Sometimes I could be arrested, taken to the cell. Then it's only the parent could come there, and also the nurse people. So I was almost going home.
His change of behavior became the talk of his village, and a once social young man retreated to isolation, and his company became the local drinking dens.
Whenever one is in alcoholism, standing for a family is a hard thing. Not many wives can withstand that kind of a behavior. So my wife could not tolerate that. So she decided to leave. And in fact, she left me with a young boy who was taken care by the grandmother at home.
With no major responsibility, the one thing that would have helped keep him sober, his teaching profession, was at stake.
Tulikuwa tukiona kama hataishi, sababu alikuwa amekunywa pombe kama, yani alikuwa amejulikana. Even if tulikuwa na shida, tukimuanza ni maombi hapa, tunamuombea, tunamtafuta pale alipo. Alikuwa ameisha kabisa, alikuwa amekonda kabisa. Hata ungesema ni mtu ameshaingia kwa darasa. Alikuwa amekuwa yani ni mchafu, hata nguo saa zingine hata ananunua, siku nyingine anauza. Anavaa zingine sio mzuri, hata akiwa kwa shule uwezi ona tena ni mwalimu.
His behavior broke his parents' hearts.
Alikuwa kwanza mwenyewe aliharibu mwili, nikapata damu yangu ikakimbia. Mafikiria ya kulala au hawezi kulala, kufikiri maneno ya kijana yangu.
But how did he turn a new leaf?
It was a very tough journey because now I gave my parents another burden. A young child being taken care of, and also myself. The alcohol kills the memory in somebody. You forget about all the problems. You think that you are killing the stress in you, but you end up having more stress whenever you indulge yourself in alcoholism. So it was a great burden. And in fact, whatever made me even feel good when I joined the boy child, they were very much concerned, even for my son.
Kibe has been sober for the past 5 years.
Sasa aliwacha pombe kabisa. Tangu siku hiyo hata leo hawezi kunywa pombe.
Since I stopped that kind of behavior, and also it has really changed financially, even socially.
How are you?
He has gone to teaching full-time at Ndonyo Njeru Primary School.
Let's start with H, IV, and AIDS. Isn't it? Yes.
Even in school, the performance, the children are very happy about me because I have the loose program of fighting drugs.
Experts opine showing love and support to people struggling with any form of addiction is key in their recovery process.
Whenever you do good to somebody, it's going to come back to you in double. It's a bigger part of what helps me to reach out to other people, because if you develop other people, at one time or the other, what you did to other people is going to come back to you. If you go back to the Bible, if you are busy building other people's lives, God is also busy building your life.
Those people that really care about him, like a childhood friend or a cousin, would agree to sit down and listen that this person is now sick. This is what this person now needs. They need to abstain from drugs and alcohol. They're trying to change their lives. And even those friends and relatives are going to try and learn something of the program so that they can support his recovery rather than be the cause.
Kibe uses his free time to give back to the community by mentoring young boys and men.
Tumefurahi kwa hii mpango, imesaidia si wakati hatupo shuleni, si ukuja hapa kucheza mpira. Imetufunza mambo mengi kwamba tusijiingize na madawa za kulevya. Hata wakati mtu akiwa nyumbani kwa anateseka, akifika hapa anafurahia na wale wengine.
I joined a church whereby we have been assisting one another by my pastor. Even the community is very much positive about me. Also, the boy child has assisted me to be one of the facilitators in schools, in colleges. They have been giving the platform to go and tell the gospel about stopping from these bad behaviors of alcoholism and drugs.
The now new leaf applauds patron for coming in handy.
I have reconnected by myself, and soon I'll be having a wedding whereby I will invite you, and God is so good.
There is light at the end of the tunnel for any alcoholic and drug abuse person if they receive family and community support. Ruth Wamboi reporting for KBC from Ndonyo Njeru Primary School in the county of Nyandarua.
Ndonyo Njeru means a new market and a new life for that teacher.
Wow, it's good that you said it in Kikuyu. If I was to read it out in Meru, trust me, it would have a very different meaning. Anyway, you show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are.
Absolutely. That's the bottom line. Time for us to take our other break. And of course, on the other side of the studio is Karen Kibet, who's on standby with sports.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
It is April. It is football made in Germany. Tuesday night, the 4th of April 2023, the DFB Pokal returns to the first quarterfinals in Germany. FC Bayern Munich takes on SC Freiburg in a heavyweight clash at 9:45 p.m.
Oh, what's the goalkeeper doing? And if there's one person you cannot give the ball to, it's the super sub.
Wednesday, the 5th of April 2023 will see the defending champions RB Leipzig clash with on-form Borussia Dortmund at 9:45 p.m.
Here comes Riemann to get the ball away from danger. It falls Emre Can's way on halfway. Emre Can! That is extraordinary. Absolutely stunning.
Catch these momentous times in football history live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner. Sports News is brought to you by Mozart Bet.
Kurumisha ndege. Aviator instant game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
Welcome back to Sunday Express. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now talk sports. Gor Mahia's hopes of featuring in the next season's CAF Confederations Cup went up in smoke today after being eliminated from the Mozart Bet Cup tournament. The Kenya Premier League leaders lost 1-0 to Kakamega Homeboys in a match played at the Buhungu Stadium. Meanwhile, KCBFC and Bidco United on post-match penalties to qualify for the last 8.
KCB are through to the Mozart Bet Cup quarter-finals after they beat Bidco United post-match penalties.
Kimbilia ngoma ile Lampard. Spektakule juu kwa juu hatari. Goal!
Kidogo ili kuweza kutafuta nafasi ya kuweza kumtafuta Onyango Henry na Kahiro Francis. Yakuwa ni bao safi sana.
They will now face Tusker FC in the quarter-finals of the tournament. Meanwhile, Gor Mahia's hopes of featuring at next season's CAF Confederations Cup went up in smokes today after being eliminated from the Mozart Bet Cup tournament. The Kenya Premier League leaders lost 1-0 to Kakamega Homeboys in a match played at Bukungu Stadium. The lone goal was netted by Moses Mudavadi in the 57th minute.
Mpira ikishafika hapo kwa penalty hakuna kitu unaweza fanya. Ni kuacha saa zingine hata kwangi mwenye amecheza vizuri uanga mwenye bahati kwenye matuta bana ni ule mwenye ana bahati then ana progress.
I'm happy because tulikuwa ready for any eventuality taking into consideration that kwa knockouts pia kuna penalty, so nafikiri tulikuwa ready upande hiyo pia.
Homeboys will now face Kariobangi Sharks in the quarter-finals of the tournament. Sharks qualified after beating Equity 1-0 today.
Hapa Sharks anafunga bao maridadi kabisa hapa. Paulo Kof megewa pasi nzuri kabisa hapa kutoka kwake Geoffrey Unyango.
In other games played today, Bandari also qualified after beating Mwatate FC 2-0, while AFC Leopards also sailed through with a 1-0 win over Muranga Seal.
Umepotea labda dakika mbili ama tatu nategemea ama moja.
Thank you, King Omri, for that report. Moving on, Kenyan runners continue to show their prowess in athletics after dominating the weekend marathons across the world. Kenya's Sebastian Sawe was crowned the champion of the 2023 Generali Berlin Half Marathon in Germany, while Hella Kiprop won the 2023 edition of the Paris Marathon.
Sebastian Sawe led a clean Kenyan sweep in the podium positions in the 2023 edition of the Berlin Marathon in Germany. Sawe clocked a time of 59 minutes to win this year's title. Alex Kibet finished second in 59 minutes and 11 seconds, while compatriot Braven Kiprop was third in a time of 59 minutes and 22 seconds. In France, Hella Kiprop was crowned the winner of the 2023 Paris Marathon after timing 2 hours, 23 minutes and 19 seconds. Ethiopians Atalel Anmut and Fikte Wereta finished second and third, respectively. In the men's competition, Kenyans Josephat Boyd finished third behind Ethiopians Abeje Ayana and Goya Adola. In Italy, Timothy Katang finished second in the NL Milano Marathon after clocking 2 hours, 7 minutes and 53 seconds. In the women's race, Sharon Cherop finished first in a time of 2 hours, 26 minutes and 13 seconds. Ethiopia's Desi Ethlema, who came second with Kenya's Emily Chebet finishing third. Meanwhile, Kenyan's Philemon Kipto claimed the men's title in the 2023 Xiamen Marathon in China. Kipchumba clocked a time of 2 hours, 8 minutes and 4 seconds to cross the finishing line first. The women's title went to Meseret Abeyahu from Ethiopia. Nora Mwangi for Sunday Express.
Thank you, Nora, for that report. Moving on to matters chess. About 100 players will represent Mount Kenya region in the National Youth Chess Championship to be held later this month in Kisii County. The players were selected during the Mount Kenya regional qualifiers, which ended last evening at the Bishop Gatimu Ngandu Girls High School in Karatina.
Vivian Igo and Isaiah Otieno will lead the Mount Kenya Region Chess team at the National Youth Chess Championship to be held in Kisii County later this month. Igo led the under 18 years girls team, which also has Wendy Maingi and Yvonne Dishu, after the three topped the category at the qualifiers in Karatina. Otieno leads the boys under 18 years category and was selected alongside Kennedy Gicheha and Mark Kariuki, who will also head to Kisii for the nationals. Other players who have made the team are Fantalis Nduta and Ian Kimondo, who topped the under 16 years category for both boys and girls. Ashley Wanjugu and Gerard Kiplagat, who lead the under 14 years categories. Olive Wanjiru and Kenan Baraka, who made the under 12 years team. Tasha Wangari and Dylan Wema, who are among the players in the under 10 years team. And Bianca Wamuyo and Michael Mugambi, who take positions, along others in the under 8 years categories. The Mount Kenya Regional Chess qualifiers attracted more than 600 players from more than 30 schools, and the players who collected more than 3 points at the tournament made the cut to represent the region.
Thank you, Buckley, for that report. Sigona's home player Jiang Ki was crowned the winner of the first leg of the second edition of the Diamond Trust Bank Golf Tournament held at the Par 72 Sigona Golf Club in Limuru, Kiambu County. Meanwhile, Paul Kamau was the overall winner of the KCB Chairman's Prize Golf Tournament held at the Ruiru Sports Club.
Playing off handicap 22, season golfer Paul Kamau carded 42 points to beat his closest challenger Ben Kanyi on countback at the Ruiru Sports Club. The Par 72 golf course brought together 300 golfers who battled for the top honors. Runner-up Ben Kanyi, handicap 22, was named the main winner with 42 points ahead of Kibera Maina and Alex Machocho, who carded 41 and 40 points respectively. Former Kiambu Golf Club captain Ann Ngumba triumphed in the ladies category with 40 points. Tabitha Kiragu came in second with 39 points, while Faith Nyagaki settled for third place on 37 points. Meanwhile, Sigona's home player Jiang Ki was crowned the winner of the first leg of the second edition of the Diamond Trust Bank Golf Tournament held at the Par 72 Sigona Golf Club in Limuru, Kiambu County. Playing off handicap 16 in Division 1, Mr. Ki capitalized on his current best form to return an impressive total of 43 points to claim the title, beating his closest challenger Mr. Solomon Kanja on 41 points net standings. Atish Malde carded 42 points to claim the victory in the Division 2 category, with another home golfer Akshay Chandaria claiming the gross category title after returning a total of 73 points. The best 5-9 went to Paul Sahil Nanji, with the best second 9 award going to Dhruv Shah, who garnered 22 and 23 points respectively. In the longest drive challenge, Hanif Tayabje and Safina Madani, all amateurs, were the stars in the men and ladies categories respectively.
Kingori's report brings us to the end of the sports news tonight. Do have yourself a lovely week ahead. My name is Karen Kibet. The bulletin is not yet over, as after this short break, my colleagues John Jacob Kioria and Regina Manyara will be back with more.
Sports News was brought to you by Mozart Bet.
Nafasi yako ya kuwa mdosi wako. Jiunge na washindi tufanye biashara. Kuwa mshindi.